This year at this time I was an observer, right? I was not officially on the job as the AD, so Gene Smith and I had this great overlap where I was able to learn, really watch, and just kind of understand the culture of Ohio State. And then, but obviously things were ramping up, gearing up for July 1st when I officially took over. There's no way to describe, we've had a great academic year. We have the best academic year on record. We have a 3.4 cumulative grade point average. We have APR scores that are through the roof. Our football team has 1,000 APR score for the second year in a row, and we won the national championship. We had two teams win the national championship, obviously with football. Our pistol program, we have 36 sports, very unique sports. So it's just been a lot of fun to really soak it all in, get to know the people, the place, celebrate championships, build on things that we need to work on. There's always something to work on, right? The collegiate model in particular, but also some of our sports. We're trying to invest the right way, trying to evaluate the right way. We had new coaches. Basketball, we want to get basketball going at a high level on the men's side, so helping Coach Diebler. Just a lot of moving parts, but so much fun. There's so much upside for our program, even still. You think about the Buckeyes being at the highest level, but there's still room to grow. So just trying to capitalize on all the great things that Ohio State has to offer.
What was it like to watch that college football playoff run that a lot of folks thought was unlikely at the end of November?
Yeah.
A couple of months later, Ohio State's the one team left standing.
Well, we all remember waking up on Sunday, December 1st, with not a good feeling, right? But we were alive, and we had a great team. And we knew that we were going to be hosting a college football playoff game based on the outcome of that game. We knew that we had great players. We had a great, plan with Chip Kelly and our defense and all the things that were going to come together. We just had to get off the mat, and it took a couple days to dust off. There's a very famous player-only meeting that included the head coach, which doesn't happen. And so they were able to really regroup, I think, get a lot of things out, and just really look in the mirror and say, guys, let's go cut it loose. Let's go play. Let's go really capitalize on who we are.
With the men's basketball program, Jake Diebler was your first official hire, elevating him from an interim to a full-time head coach. How do you assess his first year?
Yeah, we were close in so many ways, maybe a couple games away from being, in the tournament. We had great metrics. We scheduled a tough non-conference schedule on purpose to put ourselves in position to be in the rugged Big Ten. And then we just lost a couple key games, but we can't be close, right? Everyone knows that. We can't be close. We need to be in the mix. We should be competing for championships. We think we have the pedigree. The way I described it when we were hiring Jake is we have elements of being a blue blood program where we've been in Final Fours, we've won a national championship. We just haven't been consistent, right? And so how do we really capitalize on the recruiting base? I remember talking to Thad Matta a few years ago, and I said, what was the formula at Ohio State? And he said, 6-hour radius. If we could get the best players within a 6-hour radius, we could be contending for championships. And so Coach Diebler, being an Ohio guy, recruiting at a high level, he relates to the players, his enthusiasm, his energy. I think his age really gives him an advantage. And now we just have to, get over the hump really and just recruit at a higher level, coach at a higher level. So Coach has really been assessing things. We've got new pieces on the roster. We kept our nucleus with our 3 top guys coming back. And now we just need to build around that. So expectations are always going to be there. We're changing some things around the atmosphere, around the Schottenstein Center. We want it to feel more intimate. We have a big place, and when it's not full, how do we make it more intimate? How do we bring more energy? So just a lot of pieces that we're trying to help grow, basketball back to where it should be.
I think one of the best stories in your entire athletic department was crafted by the men's hockey team because nothing was expected. Steve Relects did as good a job as any coach in any sport finding the right players to fit his program in the portal. He wins Big Ten Coach of the Year. They make an unbelievable run. I know you're a hockey guy. How fun was that to watch?
Right. One of the great things that's been awesome about the transition to Ohio State is learning these sports. I've never been around a hockey program in college or any program that I've been around. Field hockey, lacrosse, pistol, rifle, those kind of programs have been really fun to watch. The hockey programs at Ohio State, our women's team, with Coach Muzzerall and, getting right there to the championship game against Wisconsin. We lost in the last couple seconds. But then seeing Coach Relects really take a team that is probably more blue collar than talent, Going up against Boston University in the NCAA tournament, we had 1 draft pick, they had like 14, right? But we got the most out of this roster. Coach Relects does a great job. You know, hockey, it can be a tough equation, you know, on the men's side for us. You know, we play in the Schottenstein Center. It's a big place, so we're working on how do we build a new building? How do we get the culture a little bit more recalibrated around our hockey programs? How do we get more draft picks to come to our place? Can we work more with the Blue Jackets? You know, we have a great local relationship. We hosted that NHL Stadium Series game. So hockey's a big deal in Columbus. I think if you take Coach Relects and his demeanor, kind of that blue-collar approach, couple that with some new resources, we think sky's the limit.
Well, let's finish with some of those non-revenue or Olympic sports, however people prefer to refer to them. And a lot of the conversation now about NIL and the money that's being spread out is obviously focused on the revenue sports, but non-revenue sports will also be impacted. How do we ensure those sports are not impacted negatively?
Yeah, that's really the key, right? Is when you have a women's golf athlete and a football athlete, they should have the same experience. They should have the same opportunities, right? Again, the economics may look a little bit different, and that's okay. But what are we doing to provide them academic support, training support? That should not look any different, right? So that's what we have to guard against, right? And especially for us, 36 sports, how do we continue to do that? We're still working through that. And so the key to all of this is economic stability, clarity of rules and processes. In the new world, though, we will be able to be more involved in third-party NIL matchmaking. So that will give us the ability to promote our female sports and our female athletes just as much as our male athletes. We haven't been able to really do that, right? We've had the collective world. We've sort of been a hands-off approach. In this new model, the house case allows us to be more involved. It also allows us to fund scholarships at a different level. We're adding 91 new scholarships to our program. More than half of those are on the women's sports side. So continuing to invest, you know, creatively, continuing to promote our athletes through NIL opportunities. We can do more now for our female sports. Those are all the things that we're going to embrace at Ohio State. I know my colleagues are in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's at the forefront of all of this. We're driving change. We're providing clarity. We need this to work. It will work when everyone follows the rules. And so we're just looking forward to launching kind of this new era and this new clarity around broad-based success, academic success, athletic success, you know, robust competition among college athletics. And I think people are yearning for that because the games have never been more popular. That's the fascinating thing is everybody's all, you know, uptight about the model and this and that. The games have never been more popular. Viewership is up, attendance is up. So let's capitalize on that as we move forward.